Kia and welcome to Tarmac. I'm Dave.
I'm Matthew, and today I'm wearing my Mercedes-AMG shoes. So you know what that means?
That's right, we've got a Mercedes, but no ordinary Mercedes. This is the Mercedes-AMG EQE 53 sedan. It's Mercedes' electrical entry to the business world, and thanks to AMG, really means business. Come, let's take a look at this. Now the EQE is obviously the EQ or electrical side of Mercedes E-Class, and with that means that it's very much a business orientated sedan. And in the EQE you either have an EQE sedan or an EQE SUV. A little bit confusing, but you'll get to it when you get to the tick box. Go for the sedan or the SUV. There's a top tip for you. For the EQE, there is basically I think there's a 300, 350, a 400 and things like that. This is obviously the AMG version of it, and although it shares the same EV2 platform, once AMG get their hands on it, they've changed the sound, the interior design, the exterior design, the suspension, the power, so it really is a completely different car. Taking a look around here, the thing that you can tell makes it an AMG is this electrical version of the Panamericana grille, so blackened out with the vertical slots. It has an AMG badge. It has obviously this massive three-pointed star, and that's where some camera work is. There's also digital lights to make sure you can see everything in front of you, and it will also even blink at pedestrians and things like that if you really want it to, and some nice vents around. Let's get some of the housekeeping out of the way. Our review model is white, which you can actually have either as polar white or opalite white. The opalite white is actually an extra couple of grand. I actually don't know which one we have. I would assume probably the opalite white, but there you go. In terms of dimensions, it's 4.95 meters in length, 1.5 meters tall, and roughly 2 meters in width. So however that fits into your garage, there you go. We have up the front here, we have these lovely 21-inch I guess alloys that are very, very sleek and great for the aerodynamics. This big thing here, touch this, open up, and that's where you put your wiper fluid, because you can't really open the bonnet, so there's no frunk, and well, actually you can, but it's quite technical. Anyway, close that up there. EQE badging along here, lovely contrasting mirror caps. These door handles can pop in and pop out and come with a lovely soundtrack behind there. Matthew will talk about that in a while. Lovely sloping roof line back here, and also a big panoramic roof, so lets the light in the cabin. As you can see, a lovely, the extended roof line comes right down here, lovely and sharp. The blackened out or privacy glass extends actually around from the rear around here. You've got your stoplight across here. The spoiler here has been given some stick, or it's a little boot lip spoiler. I actually quite like it. Obviously adds to the airflow. LED tail lights that with a nice light bar that comes all the way across here. EQE 53 AMG badging. You've got your your reversing camera in here that also doubles for the entry, that opens up to 430 litres of boot space that you can put your stuff in. But what's pretty cool as well, if I can close this, is the sound when you switch things off. I love it, it's very cool. Some nice sort of air spoiler stuff down the bottom here, making sure that it flows nicely, but on the whole, quite a dominant rear. Let's see what powers it. So behind this flap is, well, actually is the charger that goes to the 90.6 kilowatt hour battery that's ultra thin and high performance. Using the fact, well, they're boasting 20.3 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which then in turn gives you around about 500 kilometers of range, which is pretty good. That in turn powers two motors. You've got one on the front axle, one on the rear axle. Combined, you've got 460 kilowatts of power and 950 newton meters of torque. Or if you need that little bit of more, because it still goes at 3.5 seconds 0 to 100, if you do need more, there's a dynamic plus package which will give you up to 1000 newton meters of torque and 505 kilowatts of power and 3.30 to 100. So I don't think you need more. This is already gut-wrenching. Anyway, speaking of something that's gut-wrenching, Matthew's inside and he'll show you what's going on in there.
Yes, the performance is of course gut-wrenching, and I hope that those of you who do get the chance to experience this car quite like your lunches, because you'll be seeing it again with your foot flat to the floor in this car, which is a shame because the interior is excellent, and the last thing you want to do in here is, well, see your lunch again. Speaking of this interior, it has truly gotten the back treatment from AMG, and I mean right down to all the materials you get at the top of the dash. Plenty of soft stuff. You've got red contrast stitching running all across into the doors. You've got this sort of rose gold trim panel again all along to the doors, which reflects a little rose gold-ish colored panel on the outside of the doors as well. The more observant among you would have seen that, of course that Dave missed it rather. Getting back to the interior, well, you've got this sort of suede material all along here again, and continued onto the doors for that properly sporty feeling. And then of course you have the seats, which are full leather, heated and ventilated, really well bolstered. And if you needed a reminder as to what version of the EQE this is, it's got an AMG sort of plaque stuck in the seat there, and embossing in the headrest with the old school back logo from sort of pre-Mercedes-AMG days. Onto the center console, well, you've got a wooden panel all across here and another touch capacitive panel over here for some shortcuts to operate the screen there. Once again, I'll get to that shortly. The cool thing is that it does have a trackpad sort of thing here to recognize your fingerprint and then set up the car according to the individual driver profile. Underneath this panel over here, as well as a storage space for your phone, wireless charging of course. You do get two USB-C chargers as well, and two cup holders in here which can be collapsed away to open up some more space down the middle here too. And space in the middle really is plenty, because you can pop this open. It's got a really deep storage cubby in there, again with two more USB-C chargers which you can close then like so. And you've also got a floating center console style design here with more space underneath and lined in rubber to keep all of your stuff, firstly stopping them from rattling and then keeping it in place. And there's a little sort of elastic strap there to, I don't know, tuck your books in and iPads and all that stuff and keep them firmly planted while you're doing your 0 to 100 sprints. Now, there's no camera trickery going on here. I am on the left side and this is a right-hand drive market, so there's no steering wheel here in front of me. Instead, as part of Mercedes' Hyperscreen optional package, as the passenger in front, I do have an additional screen to play with here. As you can see there, again reminding you what type of Mercedes you're in, an AMG. Press that to turn it on, and you can actually set a profile for this screen as well, but I will not do that. I'll keep continuing with the guest profile. And as you can see there, press OK. And as that warning just showed you, is that you can actually view your sort of personal media, video, audio content here via headphone usage. The screen in appearance is similar to the MBUX infotainment screen in the middle, but the difference here is that you can't actually change settings in relation to the car, and ones in particular that might affect the driver. So they have thought about safety when implementing something like this. Instead, you can actually see a lot of information about the car. So for example, charging, the battery level, the consumption as well. Head back in here as well, scroll across, and you can actually touch on the media. Head back in here as well, and I can scroll across to these three. And these are really the main sort of points of adjustment for the passenger here. So comfort, if I touch that, I did mention earlier about the seats and their sort of electronic adjustment from the screen. Well, this is it, the seat kinetics. And if I dive into there, I can turn on my seat kinetics for both the passenger as well as the driver. And what that does is, on the longer, more monotonous drives, it'll make minor adjustments to the seat just to keep you awake and prevent you from falling asleep or being drowsy, either behind the wheel or as the passenger in front here as well. So there is some safety thought in this as well. And back once again to the main screen, and that's the cool stuff there, the AMG Performance Menu. Click on that and you can see a monitor of where the charging is going to either wheels, and then also how much torque and power each electric motor is putting out in terms of driving the car forward. You can also see the battery percentage over there. From here, the drive, vehicle and electric motors also show similar sort of graphs in terms of the power usage, power output and general sort of consumption. But the really cool thing, and as a watch note in particular, is the menu up there that says IWC. Now that's not just some Mercedes short form for some technology. It is actually a nod to the International Watch Company, or IWC. And if you click on that, you do actually get, look at that, it's an IWC chronograph sitting in front of you there. And even though the hour marker obscures the date and day window, it is actually correct, and there is a date and day window in there, as well as, look at that, buttons for operating your chronograph, which you can actually push and start the chronograph and stop it as well, and then reset it. So it really is a cool feature to have, and just ties in with that Mercedes-AMG and IWC partnership. Head back into the screen as well, and then you can go into settings and play around with more stuff, in particular the audio as well, in terms of where the sound is. And the audio system in particular is a Burmester 3D audio system, and it really is quite incredible even at the very high levels of volume. Now the central infotainment screen really is where all the magic sort of happens. So as you can see there, this broad view is a map, and you can actually have that as 3D or as 2D, or facing north, geographical north, and then of course 3D. So there are several different views that you can have this in. And note that the Mercedes EQE 53 AMG there is also in 3D, and I can zoom in on that a little bit more. Speaking of the EQE 53, it's not just on there, but up here as well. So if I click on that, it gives me a little shortcut of the usage of this map system, and I can actually, as you can see here, set very easily where I want to go in terms of these shortcuts. And in terms of charging stations, you can actually set a route to only use charging stations that are powered by green electricity too, so it does have that option as well. Note also the range, charging and consumption menus here that you can easily access by basically touching those different menus. Head back to the main screen here, and then a drop down here for looking at your content sharing options as well. Swipe that back up, and I'll draw your attention to the bottom bar over here, and that operates the climate menu, as you can see, and you can actually operate your dual zone climate control here, your recirculation, all of that stuff operates through here. But the individual seat heaters and seat ventilators are on the door for the two people in front, as is traditional Mercedes-Benz fashion. Press the home button there and it brings up this menu here. The difference is on this infotainment screen that you can change through various different settings and things, rather than what you can do on this screen for the passenger. So starting with the charging there, once again you can take a look at the battery, and then you can actually play around with these settings in terms of the battery temperature settings, as well as the charging interruption too, as it says on there. Note also you can view your range and consumption, and then it does tell you your DC charging maximum there too, and various different charging programs that you can use as well to optimize the battery charge. Close that and return to this screen. Head into the car settings there, and there's a lot of stuff to play around with here in terms of the driving assistance. That's really been a key technology improvement for Mercedes-Benz of late. So I'm going to flick through the various different settings, and you can see there all of the different safety systems that it has in terms of active braking, lane keep assist, blind spot assist, steering assist, lane change, all of that stuff, and so on and so forth. It does even have this traffic light view, which is where when you're stopped at a traffic light, it does give you a camera view on here of the general intersection in front of you, just so that you can see the traffic lights a bit clearer as well, if it's not quite so visible from the windscreen, although that would be trouble. Going down here to parking, and it can also show you the automatic park Tronic system. There we go, there's plenty of settings to play around with there. And then on to the next menu, you have your vehicle, and again, so many different functions, including activating that creep forward function too. Go down to dynamic select, and this is where all of the magic happens. You can see there adjusting between your different settings for the drive, dynamics, suspension, and the sound. Sound of which, of course, has been a key highlight of this EQE 53 AMG. And when you set it into the powerful option, you do really get sort of very distinct noises when you're accelerating and doing some of that dynamic driving. And then ambient lighting as well, you can adjust from either the single color options of your preference or some of these Mercedes-Benz preset options from factory. And as you can see there's plenty of really cool options here. Malibu Sunset is a personal favorite. You can also adjust the brightness there, as you can see, and create various different effects as well for feedback from the car. So there is so much intelligent technology, as you can see, even in the LED lighting of this car. Head into Amg Performance there, and once again you can see the battery level as well as the charging and different power and torque outputs from the motors while the car is in motion. And if you are once again a watch nerd like myself, you can have your IWC watch on here as well, as you can see, with incredible amount of detail on this chronograph here, including even the little Swiss made badge on the bottom. In front of the driver sits this digital instrument cluster, and as you can see there's plenty of information available for the driver and to really make the experience as engaging as it can be. On the right side you've got your power meter there, and it does let you know if you're using power or recharging, and then it shows you a meter as well of where your recuperation is set to. Of course, that you can adjust with these paddle shifters on the steering wheel. On the left side you have your speedo there, and below it you have a range monitor as well as your battery charge indicator, like so. And then in the middle is really where all of the customization takes place. I've got it set to the Eco display here, and it's one of Dave's personal favorites of this AMG system is that Eco display ball, which keeps moving sort of around as you drive, essentially to show whether you're in the green, if you like, there, or whether you're really, you know, being, I guess, an AMG enthusiast in terms of your driving. There is so much though that you can see in the middle screen there, simply by taking a step back and adjusting using this button here on the steering wheel. So I can see my consumption there, 27.8 kilowatt hours per 100k, so we are a little bit higher than Mercedes's claimed figures, but we have been driving it AMG style, rather, should we say. Flick down and you can see another one, a rotating globe there with the range available, and then the attention assist. You can see your audio inputs there, and then I keep scrolling down and I can see the maps, and just look at how many different menus there are available. So there is so much for the driver to play with on this steering wheel. The steering wheel itself actually feels really nice to hold. It's leather, you've got some nice thumb grips there, and that biplane sort of look to it that I really like. Note, however, in particular, these two round dials here. The one on the right controls the drive modes. As you can see there, it's in C for comfort, or I can have Sport or Sport Plus. And then there is also an individual or I, and a slippery mode as well for your wet and frosty weather. On the right side you've got two different buttons here, one to control your traction control system, and then another to control your AMG dynamics as well, and you can flick through and it changes color, telling you what sort of mode you're in. So there is really plenty of customization available for the driving up front here.
So the AMG EQE sedan, as opposed to this SUV, it sits on a lovely EV2 platform, so it's built for EV-ness, but it's also, because it's AMG, is also built for performance and speed. Now, what we normally do is scare Matthew to start off with, so let's do that. Now for the launch control, what you do is you find a nice straight stretch of road, you turn the dial into Sports Plus, you put your foot down on the brake, you put your foot down on the accelerator, it goes to race start, and then you let go. And your cheeks go backwards, and actually the seatbelt pulls you taut, and it's just ready to race, and it does do that 3.5 seconds 0 to 100.
What I feel, or rather I found, is that as soon as you put your foot on the brake, foot on the accelerator, the tightening up of the seat belts, the noise engages your sort of body's fight or flight or panic response, if you like, and then that sensation of speed comes, and it's just I don't know how to describe it, but I can just say it's fast. And of course, once you open up the taps, you get that 3.3 seconds 0 to 100 time, and it becomes even quicker.
Yeah, if you want to go for the Dynamic Plus or whatever it is, absolutely. Feel, fit and finish is amazing. Feel of the steering wheel is great. I love the Mercedes-AMG steering wheel with the flat bottom and this performance feel about it. Everything is at your fingertips. You can turn the dials here and also get into your sports mode, and also you're paddling here for regen, which is quite abrupt, or reasonably abrupt, so strong recuperation, that's the word. And then you can actually go up to a +2, which is very cruisy, actually very almost putting your car into neutral.
And speaking of, I guess, things that are not neutral, rather, is the interior. It definitely makes a statement, both in terms of its style and in terms of its general, I guess, feeling of luxury. Now, we know luxury traditionally as a term that would refer to things like the leather, the build quality, the wood, stuff like that. And yes, this EQE 53 AMG has all of that traditional luxury, but it also has so much of digital and technological luxury in terms of that optional hyper screen extra. It is about $15,000 here in New Zealand, but it does add bigger screens, your extra third screen as well, and then of course several different touch points in terms of the technology, and of course your sound is outputted through that amazing Burmester 3D audio system too.
The other stuff is how much you can see, the data you can see as far as where your energy is flowing, and also your range. I haven't obviously managed to get to the 500 kilometers of range that is predicted, but like I said, if you drive like a fool, or you're not going to get anywhere near this. This is a performance vehicle, though, in my mind, so it should be driven in a performance manner. And on that, it is very, the 2.2 or 2.5 tons that it is means that there's plenty of weight really down low, so when you are going into corners, you can actually just throw it into it very nicely, and it sits and, I don't know, semi-defies physics with the way the body doesn't roll, it just sits there so nicely.
Absolutely, that balance is just incredible, and despite the fact that it is a heavy car, at a minimum of 2.5 tons, it shifts its weight so quickly. It almost feels weightless, I think, when it's under power, and that's just the AMG treatment that they've done to this EQE.
So yeah, it really is a high performance EV, and pretty awesome actually. So there you have it, the new Mercedes-AMG EQE 53 sedan. Do not confuse that with the EQE SUV, otherwise you get a whole different vehicle. It's sleek looking, it's very fast and very quiet. Actually, one of the more noisiest things is the fan when you're on trying to cool the car down or cool yourself down. And it is hot, it is fast, it is so much fun. And the sound system, as far as when you are putting your foot down, does give you plenty of feedback to let you feel like you're going fast, and you are.
Yes, it's electric, yes, it's a sedan, yes, it's luxurious, but at the end of the day, it's still an AMG, and it's still gut-punchingly quick, and makes enough of noise too to keep you on your toes.
Actually, it's you that makes the noise, the squeals. Anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe and see you on the next one. See ya.